Ted Del Duca, Board President. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's regular board meeting, April 28th of 2026. I'd like to call the meeting to order. May I get a roll call, please?
Lisa Silver. Trace Walker.
Present.
CJ Renaud.
President.
Luis Contreras. Mark Mariak.
Present.
Ted Del Duca.
Present.
Quorum is established.
Thank you. I'd like everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, I'd like us to read as a group together our mission statement and vision. Our mission is to develop productive members of society. And our vision is helping all students achieve their full potential in a caring, supportive, and personalized environment. Thank you. Before you, you have tonight's agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as it's presented here?
I'll make a motion.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Can you call for that vote, please?
Trace Walker.
Yes.
CJ Renaud.
Aye.
Mark Mariak.
Aye.
Ted Del Duca.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. First up, we've got some good news from Kyle York, our Colorado Springs Regional Principal. Kyle, how are you?
Well, thanks for having me
You're welcome.
tonight. It's always great to come and tell you all the great things that are happening here in the Springs. Since we met last, the Springs has once become, for now the 6th year in a row, best workplace in Colorado Springs. One of the best workplaces in Colorado Springs. We also are a showcase school once again, 2nd year in a row, for capturing kids' hearts. So that was another announcement that we just received. We're growing in the Springs. We've already started up a new proof of concept up in the Woodland Park area, and are working with Community Resource Center up there. We already have 2 teachers that are already manning that and trying to get some new enrollments. And then here later on, maybe after first quarter, second quarter, there will possibly be a new 6th site in Colorado Springs due to the amount of growth that we've been seeing over the past few years. So thank you all for giving us the opportunity to be able to do that as well.
Yeah.
We have a video tonight. No sound on the video, but I'll just talk through it as we go through. One of our, yep, you go ahead and start that. One of our big things that we wanted to really put an emphasis on this year was actually awarding our students for academic achievement. So we really wanted to put a focus on that this year. When I first came to Colorado Springs area, we had 50 students total that were above a 3.0 to 4.0. This year alone, over 300 students we have been giving awards out to. So these are just pictures of the awards and things of that nature that we gave out for these honor roll students, anywhere from a 3.0 to 4.0. And these are the various sites. This chapel, another chapel. And as you can see, we had really big turnouts. We've probably increased almost 500% in actual turnout. We used to host them and really not get a lot of parents or students that actually would come to attend them. This year they were very highly attended. And just another piece of us really going, at the whole thing of, this is a multicultural night that we put on. So our family engagement was also one of those things that we really wanted to improve on, getting more families into our goal sites. And you can see in the background how many people we actually had at that multicultural night. It was a huge success. another 300 to 400% increase from the year before. And then these are some of the different activities that they were doing at the Multicultural Night. Lots of food, lots of good food.
That's what's bringing them in.
All right. So again, one of our huge emphasis this past year was really hitting hard on family engagement. We had phenomenal family engagement this year, and then the next thing was testing is just wrapped up, and our other focus was to put a ton of emphasis on Citadel Mall, because Citadel Mall has always been one of our lowest testing areas. This year, they were 80 to 85% in every single category, which is about 5 to 10% higher than what we consider proficient. We're looking for like 70 for juniors, about 70% tested, and then our freshmen and sophomores about 75, and they were hitting in the 80s and 85s. As a region, we hit every single one of those, except for one. We missed it by 0.2%. So one student we missed, like our freshman or sophomore group, but pretty much we hit every single goal on that as well. So that's the good news that I've come to share with you guys.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Any questions?
congratulations on the awards and everything. Does anybody have a question for Kyle? Not hearing any? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Next up, we have a strategic plan update, although we don't have anything. But we got Peter on the thing here, and I kind of wish we would have. We do cover this, Peter, where the people that are on the committees for the different portions of the strategic plan will present to us, because it's kind of it's never a fixed thing. It's always changing, tweaking, and it kind of grows. So I just wanted to make that quick comment.
Appreciate that. Love seeing Colorado Springs represent. Thanks, Kyle.
Next up is a board training. We didn't have any board training of any kind last month. Nothing there, sorry.
Thank you, Kyle. Just what I was getting ready to do.
Next up, you doing okay, Jamie?
Yes, sir.
You up with this?
No,
You
we're good.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Next up, we have our officers report. Our chief academic officer, Jason, who in this room is the second best fly fisherman. Right?
True.
Right?
I touch all I know, and now
You taught all I know, and now what?
pass me up.
Passing him up.
Hi, well,
Jason,
thank you.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you, board. Thanks for having me here. So last month I was able to finish up our quarter 3 results. So right now we're really just beginning quarter 4. So the rates really don't make a lot of sense. I mean, 97 for 59, I think 26 for our rates for quarter 4, but it's just kind of beginning here. Got a few actually updates today on some of these after getting back. We're actually up to 466 coded grads, which is exciting. And actually our work keys total is now up to 1,679 students who passed the work keys test. Small note on that is we have more of our kids passing with a silver than we do with the bronze, just showing that many of our kids are passing that minimum and getting higher than that. One of the things I would definitely want to do is highlight some piece of data that really stands out. Kyle alluded to it, but this last month, of course, we're finishing up testing rates. So our testing rates, we just got our final number of those basically today. And we hit for the first time in Gold's history 75% or higher on all 4 tests. That's our CMAS, our SAT, PSAT, and PSAT 9. We grew overall by about 3.5% on average across all of those from last year. For reference, that's 125 more students this year that came in and tested for us than they did last year. That's a really critical rate because it shows the level of connection our students have, not just communication, and not even just with what they're doing for their own graduation rates, but to be able to come in and take these tests, help give us the data that we need to see what's working. Those are really phenomenal rates and has grown every year. It just shows the work our staff are doing to build those relationships with students. So again, really for the first time ever hitting 75%, which is our goal on every single test. So we're excited to report that. And that's what I have for today.
Any questions? I have one. Jason,
Yes.
how are you settling into the job?
I'm learning it. I've got good help and good guidance. I just gave up. I'll never be as good as Jill. That's okay. Everybody knows that. And once I set the bar down, it was just
But you lowered
it was
the bar,
smooth
so
sailing
you're
after
better.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just,
Okay, well, if there's
yeah.
anything the board can do to help you grow in your position, let us know.
Well, I
We'd be happy
appreciate it. Yeah, you
Help
just
you with anything.
Yep. Keep letting us know anything you see or you want us to know, and we'll keep
good.
moving forward.
Feeling pretty good about you. Thanks.
Congrats on hitting the 70s.
I see why you were worried about me. Okay, which one is CJ?
The black one in the middle.
They're all black. I have been told that I don't talk loud enough for CJ to
You
stay by
don't.
y'all.
You
so-
don't.
You're
You definitely don't.
They're gonna be here on the street. Okay, next up.
Okay, well, I hear you loud and clear.
By popular, next up by popular demand is our Chief Finance Officer,
That is me.
Brianna.
Good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. We have some March financials here to talk about. So our first document, thank you Jamie, is our consolidated budget performance. And this is kind of our new standard chart that is going to show us how we are performing year to date versus our budget. So again, bottom line up front, for the month of March, scroll down a little bit, Jane, we did report a little over $1 million operating loss. This is completely anticipated and is well within the board approved budget. We just paid for a lot of the things that we had been planning on paying for the building and our student technology. That all fell in March. So we did have a $1 million operating loss. So March represents about 75% of the way through the year, which is a little crazy. Our total revenue through March is a little shy of our 75% goal. We're at 72%, but that's all right because we know that some of our revenue was planned to be the $4 million from our reserves. So that's what's making up that variance. Total expenditures year to date is 61 million, and again under budget at 68% of the year, or of the budget, excuse me. But again, as we get towards the end of the year here in April and again in May, we are going to narrow that variance as we pay for the remodels. We have leasehold improvements outstanding that we haven't paid for, and we have additional tech landing soon that we will be paying for, and we'll narrow that budget variance down to hopefully as close to zero as we can get. Salaries and benefits in March, we did have 655.5 FTE in March of our budgeted 698. So we do have some vacancies and some positions that are in transition, some being held, some being changed where they're being posted, all sorts of moving things like that. The rest of the bottom of this sheet with professional services and purchase property services, both of those are slightly under budget, but we expect those to close towards the end of the year. Other purchase services and supplies are also tracking a little bit low, but again, nearing the end of the year, we have a lot of things coming up. Student activities, a lot of graduations, and a lot of projects wrapping up that we're going to continue to pay for. We still have our contingency that we need to allocate, and our plan is to come back to you next month with those proposed allocations. So that basically covers our statement of revenues and change in fund balance. There's nothing further that I would like to highlight on those 3 pages. And last but not least for March, our balance sheet. Sorry, I'm jumping around here.
I just couldn't move the task form.
So our total current assets are a little bit higher than 3.6. We're still continuing to carry some accounts receivable, which is perfectly fine. We've got a lot of deposits going on for all of our graduations and events that are occurring in the remainder of the year. We still have our healthy reserve our healthy cash balances, excuse me. And moving down into the liabilities and fund balance, nothing really to highlight there except our current year net change is just over $3 million, which is down from $4 million last month, obviously, because we went $1 million down this month. And again, we'll continue to see that fund balance or change in fund net balance, excuse me, dwindle here towards the end of the year. Any questions on our March financials?
Huh?
Do you want me to leave CJ up here?
Sorry. Does anybody have any questions for her? Nope. I think we're good. Thank you. Next up, what are you today? You're going to be the chief financial,
No,
excuse me,
No.
the chief information
There you go.
building update,
we'll just go with chief building guy today.
chief building guy today.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Chief building guy today.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Quick building update for you. Welcome. You are here.
We're here. Yay.
You are here, our first board meeting in the new facility, which is very nice. Sorry for all the technical issues today. I need to do better at my job apparently, so we'll get better at that. So you see building 1 is almost complete. There's a few more things left to do in here. I'm happy to walk you all around afterwards and kind of show you the somewhat about 95% of the way finished product that we have here. We've been in operations here now for just under about a month and a half. I think we've all now been here. I think everyone's adjusting pretty well to the new facility. There are definitely some quirks that we're working through as we kind of finish up the last bits of punch list on the contractors list for us. Building 2, however, is really kicking in gear now. So recent update from our general contractor, the IT accessory storage, almost used the W word. The IT accessory storage center in building 2 will be ready for us next week to begin emptying out the current tech center location so that we can move all our stuff into building 2. We are given a temporary certificate of occupancy date, which means a date that humans can actually occupy that building as of June 1st. You do hear the HVAC, we have more work to do up there. They're still working on that. Sorry for the banging and yelling. Every time the system moves, the little curves move around with it. So June 1st, we'll be moving humans and desks and all the rest of things into building 2. And we are still on track to hopefully have our ribbon cutting sometime in the August timeframe after we finish the rest of our landscaping and work that we need to do out on the vacant lots. So that's kind of where we're at with that. We'll continue to keep you all updated as we go, but we're almost there and we're very excited. So any questions, happy to answer them. Otherwise, that's all I have for you.
Just a quick question on, was the parking lot going to get resealed?
Yes,
Okay.
it's going to get resurfaced. We're working on numbers
Oh,
with our
resurfaced.
GC. Yes, we plan to resurface the parking lot itself, yes.
Okay, because it needed, yeah, it was out there.
It does. It needs
But I
it.
noticed
Yep.
they painted the lines just temporary to,
Those of us that have high-heeled shoes definitely struggle on that parking lot.
He is
so.
not wearing high-heeled shoes.
He's not, no, but I said those of us that wear
well,
high-heeled
Yeah,
shoes.
I'd never wear my high heels to the board meetings.
Probably smart. No, we intend to
I don't wanna break an
resurface
ankle.
that. Yep, we're working on numbers with our GC on that. now.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I
Jamie.
have a question too.
Oh, he's got a
Mr.
question.
Ariak, yes, sir.
Hey, question, when there are goal high school signs that go on the boards outside the building?
Yeah, excellent question. We just finished the contract with our sign provider. I cannot for the life of me remember who it was. Consolidated Signs Inc., I believe. They are doing 3 signs on the buildings. We have one on the west side of Building 2 facing Colorado 47. We have a sign on the very front of Building 1 in the little square channel area. That will just simply be a G. And then a sign on the north side of Building 1 above where the cafe is located in the patio that will also be facing Highway 47. The last sign, not a lit sign, but the last sign is on the brick monument as you arrive at the building and drive in. Right now that is a blank sign. We're adding a administration center sign to that as well. And so that contract's been finished. Those signs are now in fabrication, as I'm told. They need to be made because they're special channel signs. The hope is that they will be here within 2 months to begin installation.
Thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome.
Can I get a picture of them?
Of the signs?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have designs.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I will make a.
Just for everybody to
Let's
know
get that.
where, and Peter, by the way, I mean, our buildings are situated here that we've got $1 million worth of free advertising right coming down our street, so
We do.
it's gonna look good. It's gonna get our branding it'll really help our branding.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 'cause
Agreed.
it's gonna be in your face kind of stuff, so
Well,
looking
good.
forward to that.
Well,
Great.
good.
Excellent.
Jamie, thanks.
Thank you all.
Thanks you for
So
taking care of all this
It really
stuff.
is all of us. It's
Yeah,
not,
I know.
It's not a me thing. We're all
I know.
working on
But
this
they keep
together.
blaming you for everything that's getting
That's the
screwed up.
thing. It's easy
And
to
I just
blame one
wanna know
person,
that.
harder to blame a team than it is one person. So,
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it. Next up, our Chief Executive Officer. Jill, what do you have for us tonight?
Oh, good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for your patience as we work through some of the little kinks that we're having in this beautiful new building. So I have two things to cover tonight. The first one is graduations. I did reattach the graduation schedule as we talked about at the last board meeting. I just want to make sure you have the new updated. We did move the Colorado Springs regional graduation to Thursday evening, as we did need to move the location from the U.S. Air Force Academy base back to the arena at UCCS. The Ed Robinson Arena, and so that will be on Thursday morning versus it being on a Friday.
You mean at CC?
I'm sorry, CC. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. At CC, Ed Robinson is CC. So yes, at Colorado College's facility, because we were not able to get onto the Air Force Academy base with the ease that we believed we would. So this is the new and updated schedule, though. So as you can see, all of our graduations, all 12 of them will take place over 2 days. And that would be on Wednesday, May 27th, or Thursday, May 28th, the various ones. I do believe I have heard from the majority of the board members on the ceremonies they would like to attend. If you still have not reached out to me and you would like to attend one, please do, and I will make sure that we get you added to the agenda, because as you know, when the board attends the graduations, we love to put you to work and give you jobs as board members. So we want to make sure we know where you're going to be and make sure that you do have the regalia that you need and that you are properly added to those graduation agendas. The second thing today is just the reminder on Forum. And so Forum, of course, we know is taking place at the end of July. That Forum dates, that Tuesday and Wednesday, will coincide with our July board meeting. So we will be doing the board meeting from the venue that afternoon, that Tuesday. So any board members who can make it, of course, you're more than welcome. And if you can't, and you're here in Pueblo, you'll want to join virtually. So just giving everyone the heads up that the majority of us will be up there, and we will hold our meeting and post the location for that board meeting from the conference hotel. And we hope you all will be able to join us for Forum. So any questions, Mr. President?
Yeah, I kind of got a little nervous about the board meeting at the same time.
We can move it. That is at the discretion of the board to move the July meeting. We could do it a week earlier, or we could wait and do it a week later.
I guess my initial thoughts on it were, the fact is that we would have, this board meeting would be there with our entire staff of people that would see the board, and perhaps they would just watch the interaction and that kind of a thing. Because I know a lot of them, because we're live
We are.
all over.
So we
I
do
know
have a lot of
them watch.
viewers. Absolutely.
Yes. But I'm still, I'm still.
So, I mean, it will be a public meeting if we
Yeah, it's
do
a
it
public
there.
meeting.
It will be a little trickier, I'll be honest, just because it won't be in our normal setting, and we won't have our beautiful hubs, and we will have to figure out how to do it using computers. So if the board would like to change the date of that meeting, you're more than welcome to, because it will make the meeting, I will say, it will be easier to do it in our facility versus trying to do it in an off-site location.
Yeah.
So we can
We'll talk
definitely
about
talk about that. We still have a lot of time. That is not until July, so you still have
Okay.
quite a bit of time, Mr. President.
Okay.
Mr. Mariak, do you have a question for me, sir?
Yeah, not for you, but for Jamie. regarding the graduations with the change of the one at, in Colorado Springs. Jamie, do you mind just work with Bambi to make sure that that gets on my schedule correctly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You bet. You bet.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Alrighty, sir.
Anybody else got a question for Jill? Thank you, Jill. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna bring CJ back.
Great to see you. Next up, we have board members' reports. I attended, what was our function on Saturday called?
It was a board and leaders summit with District 49.
Yes, I attended the board and leaders summit hosted by District 49 up in Colorado Springs all day on Saturday. So I got to meet a lot of new people. Peter gave us just tons of great information. I got a lot of stuff out of it. I thought it was really good for me. I felt really good about it afterwards. So I liked the relationship. It was a great meeting. Great meeting. Thank you, Peter. Yes.
I just also wanted to quickly just share and say thank you to the board and to the team for supporting our Great Futures Gala. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you, Kyle, for being there. I really appreciate you guys always coming to support our mission and see what we're doing. So thank you. That was all.
Anybody have anything else? Next up, we have our consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda, which was the approval of the board policy D1, February financials, and the minutes, which you guys have? If there isn't, I need a motion to approve those, or approve the consent agenda.
A motion to approve the consent.
Can I have a
agenda.
second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Could you call for I'll call for that vote.
Trace Walker,
Yay.
CJ Renaud,
Yay.
Mark Mariak,
Yay.
Ted Del Duca.
Yay.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. We don't have any action items to deal with tonight.
I do not, Mr. President.
Okay. We do have some informational updates. And Jill, is this you guys?
So, Mr. President, Tatiana Bailey is running behind for her presentation. She just text messaged
Okay.
me.
Should we move on?
So I think I believe we need to do a motion to just rearrange the information in the informational so that we could move on to draft budget, but then come back to Ms. Bailey. Is that correct, Dustin?
Yes.
Okay. So
So we could rearrange and do draft budget and then do G5 conflict of interest and do the presentation as the last thing.
okay.
If
Can I-
the board would like to, I
Can I
think
have
you
a
can
motion
propose
from
that.
can I have a motion for somebody to move those?
A motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Call for that vote.
1 second, Mr. President. Trace Walker,
Yay.
CJ Renaud,
Yay.
Mark Mariak,
Yay.
Ted Del Duca.
Yay.
Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I believe we'll be on draft budget now.
Okay, draft budget. Oh, we love the draft budget.
All right. Thanks for having me back. All right. So in preparation of this budget, we took a couple things into consideration, and primarily the funding, the level of funding for next school year. So our PPR funding, as you will see between the blue section, which is our 25-26 revised budget, and the pink, our 26-27 proposed budget, our funding remains flat. The other here I can get it.
I got it.
The other primary factor here is keeping our conservative student enrollment. So we currently have budgeted 6,850 kids for our 26-27 school year. with our stretch goal being about 200 students higher than that. The PPR calculation then results in a 2% decrease in funding from this revised budget of 25-26 to our 26-27 budget. We also took conservative projections in our revenue from state sources. Those are our ECA grants and our ELPA grants, and also the same on line 7 with our IDEA grant. So modest cuts there. And if you could scroll down a little bit, Jamie. Same thing with our other revenue. We kind of thought for a while interest rates are coming down. Now it looks like they're going to hang in there for a little bit. The call just ended.
With Miss CJ?
Oh, she's calling back.
Just
Hold
call her
on.
back, yeah. It's just a phone call. And then turn on the speaker.
Hi, CJ.
I just got dropped. It's okay.
That's okay. So, and then the other primary consideration for revenue is on line 11. We are wanting to use $1 million from reserves for this next year versus the $4 million in 25-26 that was the building remodel. The $1 million that we are requesting to use from reserves would be split between two fairly large projects. The first project would be a solar installation on top of this building. The amount of solar panels and the energy that would generate would allow us to have a battery wall that would help offset the need for a generator, in addition to covering the electrical needs for this building and our tech building right next door. It could also offset the energy uses for other meters for properties that we have in Pueblo. So that was project number 1. Project number 2 is replacing a cluster. And if you have questions on that, I will direct them to Mr. Trujillo. So our cluster is at the end of its life cycle and needs to be replaced. So with all that being said, the proposed 26-27 budget would be $83.7 million. Moving down into our expenditures, salaries. We had 698 positions budgeted in our revised 25-26 budget. And in our proposed budget, we have an increase of 6 positions, which is made up of 3 special education teachers, 2 deans, and 1 assistant principal, for a total of 704 FTE. This proposed budget also includes cost of living adjustments for instructional student-facing staff at 3.5% and administrative staff at 2%. The total increase in budget between the 2 years is about 3%. Moving down into the 200s for all of our employee benefits, we did shop those this year, and we were able to keep the benefits relatively flat as far as expense goes. We just had a moderate increase in para, as that is a percentage of salaries, which, as we just talked about, is going to increase. Moving on to the 300s, we have a 19% increase between the 2 years here, driven largely by line 36, employee training and development. That is almost exclusively due to moving Forum from Pueblo to Denver. We also had increases in the purchase professional services line, and that is our third-party special education service provider. We did have the need for additional FTEs in that contract to serve our students, so that is reflected a little bit higher in line 30. Moving down to the 400s, we have an increase of about 5% between the 2 years. Most of this is in the building rental line on 44, because we do have our built-in escalations for our leased sites that range anywhere from 3 to 5%. And with the planned addition of a new site and a new satellite site coming later this year. In the 500 section, we were able to reduce some of the planned spending in this category, not in the student-facing lines, but in some of our communication lines and elsewhere. We were able to, shave 5 to 10% here and there while keeping all of the student-facing lines whole. That brings the total budget of the 500s to 9.7 million, down from 9.8. In the 600s, we again were able to come down by 18% with some of the other discretionary lines while keeping the, like 68 food for students. That has stayed the same. Graduation, we increased a little bit because we know that we're spending more on graduating as we're graduating more kids. Few cuts to our general supplies line and elsewhere, bringing the total budget of our supplies down to 2.5 million. In the 700s, this is our most drastically changed category. The largest change here is due to line 90, the changes in building and improvement. Obviously, we're not renovating this building anymore, so those funds are no longer budgeted. The 500,000 that remains in that line is for the solar project that we previously mentioned. We will still need to replace vehicles and provide furniture to our sites and potentially the new site. And the leasehold improvement line is higher than it was last year because we do plan to renovate potentially a new site and continue our site improvement, the safety security updates with the doors and everything that we're doing across the state. Our technology line did decrease somewhat, but will include the cluster repair and also our planned spending for things like student computers that we continue to purchase. And finally, in the 800 section, we do have a $1.4 million contingency built into this proposed budget to again account for anything that we may have missed, bringing our total expenditures to 83.7 million with the zero-based budget. Any questions? A lot of numbers.
Dustin he didn't want to mention this, but he doesn't know what a cluster is.
None of us do.
So I said I'd ask for it.
It just made me feel really good about myself.
Just where
Go ahead, Jamie.
It's our data center. It's the nerve center that powers the school.
Considers it's the powers.
It's the data center that powers all of our curriculum.
Okay, that's what I told him it was.
Main
but he
server
didn't-
system.
You were right, Ted.
He didn't believe me. Okay.
It's a real cluster.
He's not just.
It's a real cluster.
It's like you have all the servers, and then within the servers, you have like the clusters.
Okay.
So that's why they call them that. It's
Yeah.
like different components within the
I thought it was
server.
like a big screw up, like.
It is a cluster. It can be.
Cluster.
It
Because-
doesn't work right, it very much is.
How many clusters does our data center actually house?
Four.
Four. And
The main
one
one.
of them is needing to be replaced.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Just
Mr. Bariak has a
now
question as well.
the other just quick question is, is this the first time we've talked about the solar? Have I missed something on that?
No, this is the first time we've talked about the solar.
Okay.
After we moved into the buildings, we started having a conversation around like the
Okay.
real estate that we have on top of these buildings.
Yeah.
And how we could benefit to actually have more of a cost savings than we already are having by not renting anymore, by
Yeah.
owning.
Yeah.
And so we started talking about the idea of maybe doing the solar power, which would then would power both these buildings, but with how much real estate we have on top of the buildings, it could even, like Bree said, benefit us with one or two of our Pueblo sites also, since we're all on Black Hills Energy.
So another driver for this that was important is after we purchased the buildings, but before the renovations were underway, the generator was damaged. So the cost to replace the generator is actually more than the solar proposal. There are additional tax incentives for commercial solar still that we could benefit from that would reduce the project down well below the $500,000 mark, and would the battery wall, which I think is somewhere over
On
there,
this wall.
would have the ability to power our servers in the event that we lost power. It would power everything long enough to send it to the cloud.
Okay.
And would eliminate the need for us to have a generator or replace a generator.
Dustin, have you had, any of your other clients, have you had solar where you can help them with the contract? Because these can be sticklers, these little things. You know, these companies seem to come and go, and it's like a financial weird thing that you can get involved in.
Yeah, we've had a few, not too many. The tax incentives that you're talking about are usually income tax, aren't they?
So as a 501c3, they have a program where we can petition to just receive that money back. And there's a whole business of selling tax credits to investors, yeah, which is, a whole different conversation.
Going there. Okay. Peter, do you have schools with solar stuff on some of your schools?
No, sir, we are exploring that, and there are some applications that are starting to make sense. So far, our cost-benefit analysis has not warranted that, but we're also not equipping new buildings. I think if we were designing a new building or do a major remodel like you are, we would almost certainly go battery bank solar versus generator.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Mariak, you have a question?
No, a comment. It might have been easy to lose it in the noise level, but what I heard was we were allocating more money for graduations because we're graduating more students. I think that's a huge applause.
And we like to do these really nice because this is graduation, especially for our kids, is a big deal. And we're going to do it right. It's going to be an experience for them that they'll always remember, and whatever it takes for them to experience that, we want them to have that for sure.
Thank you.
Good comment. Thank you, Zach.
Any other questions?
Okay, then it's going to be, so
I will do the first.
do we vote on, we're going to vote on that next month then,
Yes. Correct.
the revised budget?
Yeah.
Or that's the final budget? Before
So-
the final budget?
The draft budget for 26-27 will come back for vote
Okay.
at the May board meeting.
Okay,
Correct.
great. Thank you.
So we do have the next month now to do any fine tuning or make any small changes that need to be made, or if the board has any suggestions of what they'd like to see changed, we have the next month to do that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I'll be covering the first reading of policy G5.
Okay.
All righty. Do you
coming
want to
up
bring
here?
these? Oh yeah, I guess I could just come up there.
The next up, we're going to have item C, which, we just moved. The first reading of the goal board policy G5, the conflict of interest.
So, good evening, board members again. CJ, you still with us? Did we lose you?
I am.
Okay, just making
I am.
sure. Making sure you're still there, ma'am. All right. So, in front of you, you have the draft of policy G5, which is the conflict of interest policy. This has been an established policy at Goal for several years. As you can see, the first one was drafted back in 2016. And over the years, we have made necessary updates to this policy to stay in compliance with changes that we see are needed at the school level, but also changes that we see are needed to make sure we're staying in compliance at the state and federal level when it comes to conflict of interest. So as you work through this policy, you can see all of the things that we have scratched and the things that we have added. Just to kind of run through this quickly, I'm not going to obviously read this to you all. You have the month to kind of read it before it comes before vote in the consent agenda at the May meeting. But in the policy statement area, we just really cleaned up that language, redefined some of that to be a little clearer, and ensured that we were stating that we are in compliance with Colorado public rules around conflict of interest. If you keep scrolling under the definition, we just cleaned up that definition a little bit to be more concise so that it is clear of, interested parties in person. We did add an additional bullet around the best interest of the entity and the impact of goals interest around the transparency and transaction of financial relationships to be in compliance with, of course, our Colorado guidance. And if you keep scrolling, you'll see that we did reference CFR 200.112, which is the Colorado reference around conflict of interest for public entities, which that wasn't referenced before. And if you keep scrolling, you're just going to see just kind of those little cleanups. Records of proceedings, a record shall be maintained of disclosure, potential conflicts of interest that include. We made sure that we were providing those clear definitions of what needs to be disclosed for conflict of interest for board of directors. So we're just really cleaning that up to make sure that we haven't looked at this for several years, and we do know that there have been some small changes made around description of conflict of interest. So those changes, as you read through them and you view this to consider this for approval for next board meeting, please let me know if you have any questions or concerns around some of the updated wording. And we can, of course, have those conversations and make sure that the board is in agreement with this policy before going up for approval. So any questions that you may have now, I can answer also. But we do have the month for you guys to take some time, read through this one. This one does directly affect you, as this is the conflict of interest for board of directors. So definitely make sure if you have any clarity questions, reach out to me so we can make sure it is clear before we approve this come May. Alrighty. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Any
Jill.
more questions? I'm going to bring you back.
Is our,
Ms. Bailey is on.
oh, great,
Can
great.
you go ahead and address her, Mr. President? And there's CJ.
Great. Dr. Bailey, are you on?
I'm here.
Hi.
Hello. I apologize. I'm actually still in my travel gear. You know, I don't have the professional look, but I appreciate your patience, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. By way of reference, I have to say that when Peter reached out to me after I did a segment on Fox 21, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm an economist, and I run a nonprofit that I founded, and we focus on economic reporting and also workforce development. But when Peter reached out to me after I did a segment that looked at graduation rates and concomitant income levels by district, we had a footnote in there. D49 graduation rates are lower because of the presence of a large online school. And so he and I talked about this project that I'll go over. And I have to say I was pretty excited, having also an education background myself, and that's what I did my dissertation on as an economist and so forth. So I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to say in advance, thank you for this opportunity, because I felt passionately about it. And Peter obviously picked that up, and we made it work, I think a year or so later. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to put this up. And hopefully this up. Okay. And you all can see my deck now, right?
Yes, yes we can.
Okay, so I'm going to minimize you. All right. So I told you what we do, data-driven economic strategies. I'm going to very quickly go through the current state of the labor market, just because it's content and context to everything that I'm going to talk about with respect to goal. And let me know, I am in a Starbucks, so let me know if you have any trouble hearing me. So the Conference Board is one of the entities that I look at carefully, and they have been projecting for a while a decline in global GDP, which of course is driven primarily by developed countries, right? The European Union, the US, and so forth. And you can see that the black section of those bars that represent GDP, gross domestic product, you know, a measure for economic growth, is declining, and that's labor quantity. That is literally how many working age people we have. And these projections go out to 2040. US has a similar picture, but you can see that there was a bump in 2011, 2019, and that's mostly because the baby boomers weren't really retiring yet. But as we're catching up to areas like Europe, our labor quantity is also declining. And you can see there that by 2040, it's a very small contribution. So the population growth that's been fueling a lot of the economic growth, particularly in the United States, is now waning. And I'm sure you are all aware of that. So now when we talk about the unemployment rates, you think, okay, unemployment rate 4%, 5%, it's really not that bad, right? By historical levels, and that is true. But a lot of that has to do with the demographics, right, that I just discussed. Now, job openings, you know, of course, we're all educators to one extent or another, and you can see here that the job openings are now a little bit below pre-pandemic levels. Talked a lot about that, and we've heard a lot about the no hire, no fire, and that's a complicated thing and a presentation I do separately, but you get the idea. Now, when we look at those job openings, you can see that they are across a whole lot of different industries: professional and business services, education, leisure and hospitality, government, trade and transportation, and so forth. Okay, so, you know, it's very broad-based still in the United States when we think about the types of job openings that are out there. And then here is, you know, sort of stagnancy in the labor market with the, you know, stagnant job openings. But you can also see we have low quits here, meaning people are holding on to their jobs. Consumers and workers are actually quite savvy. And then layoffs, yes, they're edging up, but they're not even at pre-pandemic levels. Well, that kind of substantiates the thinking that employers are aware that we have a labor shortage, right? So all of this is context to say, you know, where are we in the labor market, but also what is going on in terms of the future. So, you know, we have these job openings, but are we really, with these fewer job openings that we have, are we adequately training people for the jobs of today? And then here you can see the labor participation rate. This is a big one. You can see that it's been coming down since 2007. You know, we haven't even recovered from the pandemic. There you can see that percentage of working age people in the U.S. has been declining. And some of that is aging, but some of it's not. And that's another key thing, especially when you start thinking about at-risk communities, and are we getting those people the opportunities that they need to graduate high school and to potentially go on to some type of post-secondary training. And then if we look out to 2034, these projections for labor participation are not getting any better. See, by 2034, they're actually lower for all of the reasons that I've discussed. And then if we look at how we compare with other nations, you know, I always thought when I was first in the economics department, you know, oh, US is going to be higher than Germany, Canada, UK, or Australia. Well, that's not true. And those countries have the same aging, you know, challenges that we do. So that's another important thing to keep in mind. Now, some of the, you know, dynamic that, you know, you've probably heard of is that a lot of what has driven down our labor participation rate, in addition to aging, is a decline in the male labor participation rate. And this is a whole other presentation that I do, but look at the text box all the way to the right. In 1950, we had 1 in 50 working age men, prime working age, 25 to 54, who were not working. Today, it's 1 in 9. Okay, that also tells you something. Are we capturing all of the individuals who could be participating in the labor force? And this problem appears to be particularly acute with young men. And then, of course, we also have childcare issues. We're still down, you know, about 7%, and we were short to begin with. I already talked about the aging and the male labor participation rates, but also we have literally fewer children now than we did in 2010. 75 million versus about 73 million in the US. Of course, that's going to continue to shrink our working age population. Then I think we all also know we have less international immigration, and we also have more people in sort of the informal workforce, if you will, self-employed, but also, you know, we're maybe working, you know, two part-time jobs and so forth. Now, before I get off of this topic, I do want to highlight that Colorado, as the second most educated state in the nation, has a higher labor participation rate than the U.S., and that's good news. This is something we want to herald, and that hopefully we can figure out how to maintain. Okay, these percentages that you see in this orange color represent the U.S. Male and female labor participation rate, and then ours are black. So you can see this is a pretty significant difference. Colorado versus the U.S. So that's a huge asset and a piece of good news. Now, what about when we look specifically more at our state, including wages? Well, the same dynamic that I was talking about before with the declining employment trends that we saw in the U.S. are also happening in Colorado. I've lived in Colorado almost 12 years. It's the first time I've seen declines in Colorado employment, and that's being talked a lot about. I'm on the Governor's Council of Economists. This is the big issue, right? Because the fewer working age people you have, the less business growth, sales and use tax, and so forth, but also less income tax, right? So it starts what was a virtuous cycle, if we're not careful, could become a vicious cycle. And then here you can see also the decline in the number of new jobs, and then the preliminary data that goes through Q3 of 2025. This data lags a little bit because it gets revisions. We're actually seeing declines of 13,000 over the past year in the state of Colorado. And then wages are higher in Colorado, the red line, than the U.S., but we have regions even like Colorado Springs, El Paso County, where wages are still lagging. So that's an important thing. And then again, as educators, something that all of you are always thinking about and talking about is, are we training kids for livable wage jobs? And this is just an example for El Paso County. If you had a household with 2 adults who are working and 2 children, each of those adults would need to make about $68,000 in this 2026 data. And then, lastly, before I jump into our data for Goal High School, we have good information. This is a lot of what our nonprofit does, and I think, I've talked with Peter and Jill and so forth about this. We have, the list of, 150 top jobs. Here's just a sample for Colorado Springs of the top job postings and what the median salary is. Good information to have, right? We're also helping community colleges dig deep into this data so that they can make informed decisions about the programming that they're offering. We can also juxtapose this information to projections for the fastest growing occupations between now and 2034. The left-hand axis, the bars show you the growth rates. I mean, look at, some of the new technologies like wind turbine, technicians for wind power, solar. I've heard you guys talking about solar power. And then the right-hand axis with the dots, the orange dots, show you the median salary. So you can juxtapose that. And this is growth rates, and then this is absolute number of new jobs. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. And then lastly, just to show as an example, we did an audit in 2017 of some medical professions. Right in here you can see. And for instance, you can see for a registered nurse, we all know we have a shortage of nurses. If we look at the total junior level openings, okay, of 1,600, all openings, including experienced, 5,400 in Colorado Springs, but we only trained 190. So there was a deficit of 5,200 people who could have been trained. And we make these lists for advanced manufacturing, for cybersecurity, and so forth. So that is the context. Now let's jump into the social and economic impacts of Goal High School. So I think we all know it's the Goal is the largest Colorado charter school, an alternative campus. It provides flexible blended learning, right, and some wraparound services. We know that Goal students often enter multiple grade levels behind, and I'll show you that data in a second. We know that they have a much higher baseline risk of not graduating due to a lot of the barriers that they face. And we know that Goal graduates approximately 1,700 students per year and helps them obtain a high school diploma that they may not have otherwise. And then here you can see goals enrollment has increased by 26%. Approximately 1/4 of goal students are in their 5th year of high school or beyond. About nearly half are Hispanic or Latino. About 2/3 almost are free and reduced lunch. And then here are just the graphics to support this. This shows you the student population. This shows you the breakdown where you have almost 26% who are in their 5th year or beyond. You can see by region all over the state of Colorado, highest in Colorado Springs and Denver. And then the racial breakdown that I just spoke about. And then here, free and reduced lunch. So just some visualizations to back that up. Now, starting point. Well, on average, students at goal enter almost 4 grade levels behind. And the later they come to goal, typically the bigger that gap is. On average, the students have 2.3 significant risk factors, and nearly 30% of students report 3 or more risk factors, okay? So traditional high school performance metrics, when viewed without this context, do not reflect the depth of the academic recovery work that is underway at goal. And then here you can see all of what I just talked about in terms of the academic gap by entry level. And as we said, higher grades, bigger gap. And then with multiple risk factors, and roughly 30% sitting at 3 or more risk factors. Okay, and then here I just wanted to highlight, despite a lot of these challenges, before coming to goal, about 70% of the students were excessively absent, but goal actually boasts a higher attendance rate than the state of Colorado and the U.S. average. At 96%, and about 7% of goal students also participate in concurrent enrollment, which, as we all know, also increases the chances of graduation and so forth. And then here you can see the information that I just had and some of these risk factors are, and then the attendance rates visually as well. And then now for the economic impact, I think we can all sort of understand that the labor participation rate of people who don't finish high school is much lower. But with each level of education, the labor participation rate increases. So less than high school graduation rate, only 70% labor participation, right? That means they're either employed or they're actively looking in the last 4 weeks. Now it jumps to 76% if they graduate high school, 82% if they have some college or associate degree, and 90% if they obtain a bachelor's degree. And then over here, we have the earning differentials for if someone makes or has less than a high school diploma. This is their median salary for the state of Colorado in 2024, about $38,000, $46,000 if they graduate, $51,000, some college or associate, and almost $76,000 with a bachelor's degree or higher. Now, if we then break that down for each individual who graduates from goal, relative to a non-high school graduate, a high school graduate earns about $10,500 a year, almost $500,000 over a lifetime, incremental, contribute an additional $2,300 in annual tax revenue, and that's income and sales tax, or about $107,000 over a lifetime. And then if we jump to post-secondary, relative to a high school graduation, so this is all stepwise, right? And we conservatively estimate about 15% of goal graduates go on to some post-secondary, whether it's a certificate, a 2-year associate, whatever it might be. They earn an additional $9,000 and almost $500,000 over a lifetime, almost $2,000 additional tax revenue. And then you can also see the jump with a bachelor's degree or higher of almost $30,000 additional. And this is relative to some post-secondary. And that's about 30% of those who attend some post-secondary, right? So the funnel gets smaller, but of course the dollars get a lot bigger. Okay, and then here, if you add this up for a cohort of roughly 1,700 students, there are sustained annual income gains due to the higher educational attainment of $17.7 million annually, and an increase in income and sales tax of about $4 million annually. And then this was part of an infographic where we kind of broke this all down, and you can see that sort of funnel, you know, with this many graduates, this many who just graduate high school, this who go on to some post-secondary, and all those numbers that I just went over, with the big numbers here added up at the bottom, okay? And then here you can see the next section, and the last major section of this is where we said, okay, well, we also know that if somebody graduates high school, they typically are not on Medicaid as much. They're not typically using SNAP benefits or other social welfare programs. And in a nutshell, there's a lot of information here that we don't need to go into detail, but basically the estimated lifetime public health cost difference between a high school graduate and a dropout is about $30,000 at the federal level and about $25,000 at the state level. Incarceration, about 68% of state prison inmates lack a high school diploma. So all of this is, you know, with marginal probabilities assigned. You can see here there's about a $7,000 savings, and this is not assuming that people who don't graduate don't go or necessarily go to prison. This is all taking the probabilities, right, of a non-high school graduate versus a high school graduate actually entering into the criminal justice system. And so here you have those cost savings, and then here are the ones that I talked about in terms of food assistance, Medicaid, and so forth. With about a $10,000 lifetime federal public assistance cost savings and about $8,500 in state. And then here are the big savings when you add that up for a cohort of 1,700 students. So we're talking, this part was really big, and this was the part that Peter and I got, even more excited about, because these are quantifiable, and I can share, well, all of you have access to the report, but there are some really great studies that we pulled from, that studied this over large cohorts. And then here, this was also part of the infographic that we put together to aggregate these savings for healthcare, incarceration, and welfare. And if you add this all up on an annual basis, $272 million are saved. I mean, honestly, I told Peter and Jill this, I was astounded at these numbers. I knew they were going to be big. I just didn't think they were going to be this big. And then this last slide is just something that I wasn't in the original contract, but it kind of got my head thinking. So if we look at the additional tax revenues, the first part of the study that I went over with you, okay, people are making more money, they're contributing more in taxes and so forth. And then I juxtapose that to what does it cost to put 1,732 goal students through school for 4 years? Well, that's about 112 million. Well, the percentage ROI on that is 63%. Another way to think of that is for every dollar invested in goal, you get $1.63 back. Okay, and this is just for the taxation portion, right? With somebody working more. If we could move over to the social return on investments, where we talked about savings on healthcare, incarceration, and other welfare costs, the federal cost savings are here, right? That 135 million. And the 4 years of schooling, 11.8 million. Okay, and that's federal, that column. This column, the second column, is Colorado and local cost savings, and then combined. And let's just skip to this one. If we combine the federal and the state for every dollar invested in goal, and this is all tracing back to the social costs and tracing back to the cost to send these kids to school, for every dollar invested in goal students, you get $2.43 back. So that's that. I know it's a lot of information, but I know that you all also have access not only to the infographic, but to the report. And I will always be available too for any other follow-up questions via, I need to stop sharing, questions that you have, via email or phone call for any of the board members. So let me pause there and see if you have any immediate questions or if there's anything else you want me to pull up.
No questions from me. I'm just truly impressed with the data and the information and the impact that GOAL has, and I think this is huge for us to be sharing all throughout the state of Colorado.
Well, great. And one quick question I have is, I had originally talked to Peter and Jill about doing a Fox 21 segment. These air in Colorado Springs, Pueblo, and other areas in the southern part of the state, and making it an article. But I first wanted, obviously, to present to this board. I would pass it through Peter and Jill first. I actually record tomorrow. I mean, if you felt good enough about it, I could record tomorrow. Yeah, that's.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose her?
Yeah,
We did.
shut Wi-Fi.
Peter, did you want to add anything?
It looks like Dr. Bailey may have dropped, so I'll be opportunistic and jump in for a moment. I think I first came down to Pueblo to visit a goal board meeting about 9 years ago, and my message has been consistent ever since. We love Goal. We believe Goal's mission is noble. We think our association with Goal is inspirational. It serves the entire state of Colorado, and there are lots of interactions where we take some unfair criticism, whether that's for graduation rates or overall academic scores, and we have always said yes, and let's articulate why we are so willing, even eager, to continue to be in this relationship and authorize Goal. We in part wanted to commission this study because we wanted to quantify what we already knew to be true. Colorado needs Goal. District 49 believes in Goal. We are proud to sponsor Goal, and we're grateful that you came to us from CSI, and our enthusiasm for the partnership, our enthusiasm for your mission and the service that you deliver is profound. I think every state in the union needs a Goal High School or something that serves as well. Although we're proud to authorize the original, and we know that yours are incredible shoes and seats and vehicles to fill, and so other states would struggle to match your model. But it's so right, and even if we didn't have all the economics, we would know it was right. But the economic impact of one graduating class across our state and nation at $272 million, that is a profound talking point. You are, and we are proud to stand in support. You are making society so much better. Where a lot of people have lost hope in public education, Goal gives us hope in the promise of public education. And so we were excited to help fund this. This was not inexpensive to do this level of research and to get this quality, and to get Dr. Bailey and her team to put their insight on the line. But goodness, this was well worth it. And what Jill and I with Dr. Bailey have been able to set up is a report that can be refreshed on some regular rhythm, so that we can go back and see what is the increasing economic impact. You know, when Goal is 7 or 8 or 10,000 students, does the impact start to level off, or does it climb even greater? Those are things that we now have a baseline and a benchmark that we can use to answer those questions. So as superintendent of District 49, I feel like this study validates what we have been saying for a very long time, which is we should be inspired, not apologetic. We should be convicted to support the future of Goal High School, and we should share your commitment to your vision and your mission and the services and the future that you're delivering for your students. So that is all part of what motivated this report. It came back a lot stronger than we were predicting, and I think Jill can tell you, when we first kind of opened this report for the first time and saw what those totals look like on a per class basis, we were humbled by it and just felt the blessing that a lot of our students feel personally. So from District 49, thank you to Dr. Bailey and her team. She may have to watch this on recording, but we are incredibly grateful. Oh, you're back. Okay. You dropped off my main screen. Okay.
No, it's okay. I lost you for a second, and I appreciate all those comments, and I really do echo them. And I can't stress enough, I mean, if you read the full report, those are conservatively estimated. If I'm going to be guilty of anything, I'm guilty of being a little too conservative, but I'd rather go that way. And yet those numbers were huge. And thank you for giving me those first 10 minutes to give you the context of why this is so important in the face of declining, aging population in and of itself, but also declining labor participation. A lot of people like to think, that's all aging. No. Or they like to say, oh, it's all people who, make poor choices. No. If we have the mechanisms to get individuals through high school and give them an opportunity if they so desire, that bump just from there is massive. And we need all the workers we can get. So I echo everything that I heard you say, Peter, in terms of these are heroes who are doing a lot of incredible work across our state. And thank you for allowing me to do the work. Sorry for the tech issues, but we made it work.
Thank you.
All right, I think you're going to wrap up your meeting here, so I will go ahead and get off. And feel free to contact me if you have any additional questions.
Thank you, Dr. Bailey.
Thank you, Dr. Bailey.
So I think from our meeting on Saturday, Peter, when we talked about that, and you had that great bar chart of where the money's being spent for the state of Colorado, kind of that macro view that we looked at, and about how education used to be that big top number about what the state would spend on, and now it's the healthcare portion of it. So that kind of really drives this home to me from a macro standpoint, where Colorado is spending their money.
Well, and the education really is rooted in helping to save in other areas. I mean, this data really shows that when students receive a high school diploma, it saves on social and economic aids, such as Medicaid and some of the health care. And so the more we can educate our kids and help them see those next steps to become productive members of society, the more we will save the state in what is the big spend right now, and hopefully maybe get education back to the big spend again.
Yeah, that really just hit home with me on this.
Absolutely.
That macro perspective on that.
Yes.
Really hit home. Yeah.
It was very surprising when Peter and I first looked at the numbers. We knew goal had a huge impact on the state. Like we know the work we do. We see the kids' faces. We see the excitement at graduations. We know how many students we impact. But I don't think we realized the financial impact. We knew we were having a social emotional impact on the state, but I don't think we realized the financial impact that goal was really having on the state of Colorado by serving the students that we do and graduating the number of kids that we do. And I love what Peter said, that this will be something that can be tangible and we can continue to work with Tatiana, because we graduate, that average of 1,700 in the next 3 years will probably be closer to 2,500. We know this year we're etching close to 2,000 graduating, and so that will be interesting to see as we graduate more and more kids, how we continue to impact Colorado more and more positively.
So your biggest or the greatest return on not the greatest, but a great return on our investment for the state of Colorado is spend it on
education.
Spend it on education.
Absolutely.
Spend it on education. That's where you want to spend your money.
Absolutely.
And when you divide that $272 million back into the number of graduates, that means every one of those friends and students and citizens that is walking across and collecting a diploma, they are making a commitment back to society. That is we talk about things that are pro-social. Well, that's profoundly pro-social. That they are going to be a contributor, and they are going to make our community thrive. As they themselves thrive, our community will thrive. And so, to me, it's just a phenomenal. You don't often find a feel-good narrative in the middle of economic data.
So true.
But this is a great this is a great story, and it's not a fairy tale.
No, it's a great, and I think we need to keep saying it. CJ, do you have a comment?
I do have a comment.
Oh, then you've got the floor.
I think, yes, and I think, yeah, you spend that money on education, but I think if we think back, Jill and I, to our first couple of meetings and meetings up in Breckenridge and sitting down and understanding, I remember telling Jill that the state demographer came to Northern Colorado and shared the demographic of people who were leaving, the education students were getting at the two universities up here, so on and so forth. You spend it on education, but what Goal has done in, I don't know, Jill, how many short years has that been? I go to that graduation and over, half of the, more than 50 to 60% of those kids have that credential that they get to hang around their neck that says I worked while I went to high school, and I'm and I have this career and college readiness, cord that I get to hang around my neck that says I did an internship, I did an apprenticeship, those kind of things. And so when we think about the data, I wish I would have popped on when the lady was speaking, but when we think about the data is people, right? And the people can drive what it is that Goal's going after, which is why I stay on the board. It's my sole purpose, because I believe wholeheartedly in what we run after. And we run after, right, productive members of society. And we do that based on data-driven decision-making. So Jill created before she took this new position, I don't want to say you single-handedly did it, Jill, but I know you did a lot of the work and created that space for students to have that internship, that work-based learning opportunity, the apprenticeship, all the things. And so that in and of itself circles back at Goal, and we are a strong producer of strong members of our society. And so we should take this next set of data and look, what are the pathways and the programs we need to build based on the information that we get from that report. So
CJ, solid points, very solid points.
You're here.
And we're really glad you're part of it. I mean, and you do so much. You're so good. Thank you, CJ.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me, Ted. Great job. Great report.
Yeah.
All right. I think we need to keep this report front and center, and we'll talk. Let's talk about it at forum. We'll talk about a retreat. Let's keep this, and let's make sure our staff and everything we break this down and we let them know.
Absolutely. We'll definitely put something together for forum. I might even talk to Tatiana and see if she'd be willing to come and maybe do 20-minute presentation to the whole Goal staff.
Oh, I'd love that.
We did already talk a little bit about some of the data in it and encouraged a lot of staff members hopefully to watch the presentation by Tatiana tonight. And we will continue to push this and forward it out. And Peter and I will work with Tatiana about doing some of the presentations with Fox 21 News and maybe see if we can even push that up north a little bit more into some of the big districts up there, getting some eyes on it also. Because we serve kids everywhere, not just
let's get our PR people on this, and
absolutely,
and let's make it a kind of a priority. Let's hound these people. I mean, they always love to call when some employee calls because of some dumb reason.
Absolutely.
Now it's like, hey, I mean, why don't you put this out there, because this is a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Mr. President?
Yes.
I just want to mention we just seated a newly appointed board member on our Board of Education in D49, and we intend to do this same presentation, and Dr. Toussaint will come up and or attend virtually like I am, and we want to share this with the D49 board as well, because this is such a reinforcement of our partnership and it's such a strong validation of our future commitment that we're going to do the same thing up here.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind attending that myself.
Yeah, you can come with me that evening.
You'd be welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Appreciate that invitation.
Absolutely.
Wow. I can't top that with anything. Who's going to top that? I'm glad we did that last because
I know.
it's all downhill from there. Anyway, so just to wrap up a couple things here, to finish up our kind of our agenda here. We don't have anybody signed up for public comment.
No, Mr. President, we do not.
Okay, we do welcome that. We do not have any executive session items.
We do not, Mr. President. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. And with that being said, I'll exercise my privilege and adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming and being part of it.